All right, let's clear something up real quick. Everything I said in my last video about the Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection came straight from the source. ShinFitz's interview with Dan Amrich from Digital Eclipse at EVO 2025. That's not speculation, that's first-hand information straight from the horse's mouth. Now I know I make clickable titles and thumbnails because that's part of the game, but I don't deal in disinformation. I'm not here to mislead anyone, I'm not always going to be right, but I'm never intentionally wrong. That's not how I operate, and that's not who I am. Some people comment based on what they wish was true, not what's actually happening, and that's fine. You're free to comment, but if your take is negative, I'll ignore it. And if it's disrespectful, I will absolutely roast you and embarrass you publicly in the comments. So if you're gonna come for me, come correct, because I come with facts. To make sure there's no confusion, I cleaned up the audio in ShinFitz's video and added subtitles so you can hear and see exactly what Dan said, word for word, crystal clear. There's no twisting, no clickbait, no taking things out of context, just straight up facts. Here's the interview.
We have done 8-bit, we have done 16-bit.
Right.
Yeah.
This is the first time we've been able to make the breakthrough where we have stable PlayStation 1 emulation that works for all the platforms we have to support.
Stable.
As you know, Switch is a great system, but it's not the most powerful system.
Right.
So that becomes
That's
a
right.
baseline. If we can't get an emulator to run in our engine through that thing, then it's a no-go. So there's a lot of games people are dreaming of. We don't have a PlayStation 2 emulation. Have you ever seen anybody doing a PlayStation 2 emulation?
Not good, not quality. I mean, it exists, but those 3D era games, the PlayStation 2 era games, hard to emulate.
In a collection. And yet we know people love we love Shaolin monks.
Right.
Yeah.
Is that on the plan for this? No, it's just technically out of scope for what we
It's out
can
of scope.
do.
That makes sense.
Like I said.
But we can do PlayStation 1, so we're like, well, then we got to do Trilogy. Let's get Trilogy. So,
And thankfully,
So
'cause I
yes.
think
Yeah, for sure, thankfully. Let's be grateful for that. 100.
on the record. This is
On the
first time
record,
Digital
y'all.
Eclipse has done PlayStation emulation. I'm super proud of our team being able to do it.
Yeah.
And again, we've optimized things that we can optimize. But there's a lot of dream stuff. We love Shaolin Monks. We know everybody. Ed Boon loves Shaolin Monks. We know.
Right.
I reviewed Shaolin Monks back in the day when I was working at Video Game Magazine.
That's
so
cool.
I get it. But
I wonder what
yeah,
magazine?
that's kind of like out of scope just because technically it's not feasible
Not feasible right now.
for what we're doing this time. If we get the opportunity later to work on that technology, make it work, if this goes well and they go, you know what, there's this entire PS2 Xbox era that we think that you should do, we would love to have that conversation.
Yeah, the chipsets for those systems and just trying to emulate it for everyone on every console, like I said, very difficult. Not that it's not possible, but it's those 3D era games are not going to be in this collection.
That conversation isn't happening yet. We gotta get this shit out the door. I don't know.
They're just trying to get it out the door, y'all.
So, like, let's see how this goes. Let's see if this approach works. Let's see what fans think. Let's see what we can do to, address things once it comes out. And then, but yeah, I think a lot of people just had a pure emotion for loving the game. So like, but you gotta have my favorite game.
Right.
It's like, we can't always necessarily have your favorite game for reasons of
Yep. And that's life. That's life. It's just how it is.
money, legal, technology, scope.
Like I said, the technology, it's the emulation for those games. It's not where it needs to be for them to release a polished product that is playable, enjoyable, and it's gonna work correctly. If they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it right, and that's why these 3D era games are in Mortal Kombat Legacy Collection.
Right.
I haven't slept in 7 months. I got to tell you that everybody has been cranking so hard on this project more than any other project that we've done. So yeah, like we are working very hard, but we're not going to be able to fulfill every single dream just because it's the reality of game development. And it's also the reality of the tech. Right. Mortal Kombat 4, getting Mortal Kombat 4 to run on the current platform, so because that is such an unusual.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. It's just how difficult it is, the development of games, and he's just saying now that Mortal Kombat 4 is an unusual situation.
Okay.
Custom 3D chip, the Zeus chip.
Like I was saying, the chipsets, they're different, complicated.
That's why it's never been commercially emulated before, and that's why other emulators don't really get it right. It's an incredibly complicated thing.
Like I said, they can do it, but they don't exactly get it right.
We hired an expert.
Complicated.
Like, we need 4. He's like, okay. And so he's been working on it all this time. But then he has the extra hurdle of, well, I'm sure it'll run fine on Switch 2. What about Switch 1? Oh, shit, what do we do?
I don't understand that because there are games that are going to be or are exclusive to the Nintendo Switch 2 and not the original Switch. So I guess they're trying to please everyone, which is cool, but at the same time, we're going to suffer a little bit for that.
Oh, so there's all kinds of these things that I think that gamers don't think about because they don't know what it is to develop something like this. They just know, but my favorite game, you have to do it because I love it. And if you put it in there, then you validate my experience. You say my game is the most important. And it's like, okay, we need
just
to
not
slow
always
down.
possible.
We need to back off.
Slow down.
I love that you love this game. And sometimes it's not possible, you know. So,
but I mean,
maybe one of these days.
The very fact that because at first Trilogy wasn't announced,
right?
So the fact that Trilogy is in the game, I think, is a huge thing.
Yes.
I mean, for me in particular, but a bunch of people online were like, "We want Trilogy."
The number one thing. As soon as we said we're
yeah, and that's great. That's a huge W right there. Huge W getting Trilogy in this collection.
doing a Mortal Kombat Collection, basically the classic arcade era. Everybody's like, you gotta have Trilogy.
Yeah.
You gotta have Trilogy. You gotta have Gold. You gotta have Mortal Kombat 9.
Mortal Kombat 9.
Are we getting?
See, hey, you seen it? He shook his head. He shook his head no to that.
Again, it's a technical thing.
Technical thing.
We don't. Oh, there's Goro. Sorry, hate to interrupt my.
They digress.
But there's Goro, and I thought you might like to see Goro.
I wasn't able to record all of the interview, but I do have the answers to the questions that I posed. So, will there be crossplay?
Okay, listen
From
up.
what Dan told me, Digital Eclipse has what's called a to-do list and a wish list. At the time of EVO, crossplay is on the wish list of what they want to get done, but might not be able to. Things like online play is actually still on the to-do list that's not done yet. And that's why he said crossplay will most likely not be available at launch.
Right.
He went on to say that come Monday, they're still working on getting the game to work for the Switch 2. So the team doesn't even have the game working on all platforms yet.
And that's the thing, guys. I'm not saying it will be, but the game could be delayed. Okay? It's possible, which that's not a bad thing because that means they're going to put out a game that is working that they don't have to fix later, which is the case with a lot of games these days. When I was a kid, games came out on cartridges on Nintendo, Super Nintendo. I don't remember any bugs, because they got it right. And that's what they want to do. They want to get it right. So we need to be grateful for that.
Which means it seems like they have bigger fish to fry at the moment before even looking at crossplay, if they even get to do so. When can we expect the game to be released? This was actually answered by this guy. He told me that the physical game will be released in December and the digital game will be released before December.
Okay, so the September 29th, 30th release date for the digital copy, depending on where you are in the world, that is definitely not confirmed, as we are seeing and hearing here.
He didn't give me an exact date for either release, but it looks like we'll be looking at the Christmas season for the physical edition's release.
Christmas, right?
And finally,
good.
What are the question marks?
A good time of the year for that. Now he just said now the question mark. So this is
listen towards. Up. This is actually hilarious because
funny.
Dan told me that I was the only person who asked him about this question in
and I think this is where some of the negative comments are coming from.
Particular with the question marks the entire time he's been at EVO, or at least up until Saturday. I let him know that in my circles, the 4 question marks has been such a contentious point
this circle too.
To the entire trailer.
Yeah.
Were we getting Trilogy? I mean, the most recent trailer revealed that we would be getting Trilogy, but what about the other 3 games? What do those other 3 question marks hint towards? Is MK Gold going to be included? I don't know if you caught it. You can't see me right here, but when I asked, will we be getting, I mouthed the word gold, as in MK Gold, and you can see that he clearly shakes his head no.
Bunch of people online were like, "We want Trilogy."
He's going to shake his head no.
As soon as we said we're doing a Mortal Kombat Collection, basically classic arcade era, everybody's like, you got to have Trilogy.
Yeah.
You got to have Trilogy, you got to have Gold, you got to have Mortal Kombat 9.
Are we getting...
See? He asked.
We've been reading
Dan's
into the question
no.
marks way too closely.
Yeah.
It turns out they just gave a bunch of images to a montage to put in that clip in the trailer without really considering what exactly would be on the screen. He said
I'm guilty of it too. We all read into it way too much.
that there were multiple squares showing the same game, not because it meant something in particular, but just to show what content was in the game. The 4 boxes with the question marks do not indicate that there are going to be 4 more games that weren't shown in the initial trailer.
Does not indicate more games, guys.
He spoke about how he would love to do the PS2 games, but they can't do it at this time.
Yeah, that's kind of like out of scope because technically it's not feasible for what we're doing this time. If we get the opportunity later to work on that technology, make it work, if this goes well and they go, you know what, there's this entire PS2 Xbox era that we think that you should do, we would love to have that conversation. That conversation isn't happening yet. We gotta get this shit out the door. No.
He even mentioned
I mean, some people, maybe you, might be ticked off because they're not including the 3D era games, but wouldn't you be even more ticked if they released a half-baked product, you know? I mean, that doesn't function like you want it to. That would be very frustrating. So if they're gonna do it, they're gonna do it right, which I predict they will eventually, sometime in the future.
that he would love to do something like Special Forces and Mythologies, but again, it just isn't in the cards for this collection.
Right.
They wanted to put up a question mark symbol just to show that there are secrets, I suppose, in the game, but they didn't realize that 4 would come up all at the same time in one
And that's the editing oversight that I mentioned.
particular clip. And again, he went on to say that this does not mean that there are 4 other titles that wasn't announced.
You see it right there. There's one behind my camera. 2, 3, 4. One by Goro and top left, bottom right. So
in the first trailer. Basically, what I'm saying is, don't hold your breath for more announcements of other games being added to this collection. Because as of right now, what you see is what you get. They don't even have MK4 working properly on the Switch yet, and the game is set to be released this year.
they're on crunch time, y'all.
However, what was also told to me is that these aren't just the games. We're going to be getting photos and hours worth of interviews that will act like a documentary for the entire arcade life cycle of Mortal Kombat.
That's something I care about a lot. I like the history of just history in general of all kinds of things, like old buildings and just so. This is something I'm very interested in. Maybe you or not. Let me know in the comments.
But it will also allow you to play the games that the documentary is about.
Yeah.
Another cool thing is that you'll be able to do all the secret fights, so you don't have to fight 50 games in MK2 to get Noob Saibot.
I don't agree with that. I mean, it's cool that they put that in there, but that's not how I play the games. We weren't able to play the games like that. And I've talked about that in a video too. But I guess it's cool not to grind. I understand why they're doing it to make, like I said in my other video, make this more accessible, this collection. But for someone that had to fight for that back in the day, I'd like to see this new generation of people discovering and have to fight for it.
Or to play against him, you can just go to a selection and choose to fight Noob Saibot or any of the other secret characters. A lot of love and care is going into this package, and the guys at Digital Eclipse are working really hard to bring us something special.
We got to give them props for that. I want to give ShinFitz props too for going to EVO and recording this interview and sharing it with us. I'm going to link that original video in the description, and guys, please go there and show him some love. Appreciate it.
With that being said, we're not getting 3 other game titles added to this game. And quite frankly, I would much rather we have smooth internet in all regions and online rooms at launch than to have them worry about squeezing another title into this collection. EVO was really fun, and I'm going to...
Yeah, because not having that stuff work is going to push the audience away for sure. So they're going to get it right. I have complete faith in that.
I'll put up another video speaking about my experience going there. Also, I hope that this does not burst your bubble about Mortal Kombat Legacy.
Oh, I'm hearing some bubbles burst.
Collection. Dan said that if this does well, and Digital Eclipse is approached to do another one, He would love to do, like I said, an adventure collection.
Yeah.
Or a PS2 collection with all the 3D games.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely want to support this title. It might not be
We do, indeed.
everything that every single person wants in this package, but like I said, they're putting a lot of work into this package.
Right. Can't please
and it should be
everybody,
something
but
really cool.
and there you have it. Facts over feelings every time. If you appreciate creators who actually do the homework, hit the like button, subscribe, and drop a comment. Just keep it respectful. See you in the next one. Peace.